Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Viral English Class.
Hi, guys. It's really good to have you here with us today. Can I ask you something a bit uncomfortable?
That sounds serious. All right, go ahead.
Why is it so hard to do something small?
Small?
Yeah, like drinking more water or waking up a little earlier. Even those things feel strangely difficult.
That's a very honest question.
I mean, it's not like I'm trying to change my whole life. It's just small things.
And you still don't do them?
Exactly. I think about them, I even plan them, but then nothing happens.
That moment when you say, I'll start tomorrow.
Yes, and tomorrow becomes next week.
That sounds very familiar.
So, what's wrong with me?
Probably nothing.
Really?
Yeah, you're just human.
That feels like a very easy answer.
It is, but it's also true. Pause.
But seriously, why do I avoid something that takes only 5 minutes?
Let me ask you something first.
Okay.
When you think about that small change, what do you imagine?
I imagine doing it every day.
Ah, there it is.
What do you mean?
You said every day.
Yeah, isn't that the goal?
Maybe, but your brain hears something else.
Like what?
It hears, this is forever.
Oh. Pause. Wait, that's actually true.
Yeah, even a small change can feel big if it never ends.
So I'm not afraid of the action.
You're reacting to the idea behind it.
Wow, that explains a lot. Pause. So when I say, I'll drink more water every day,
Your brain hears, you must do this forever.
no wonder I avoid it.
Exactly.
That's kind of funny and a little frustrating.
Yeah, our minds are not always logical.
Pause. So what should I do instead?
Before we answer that, let's look at something else.
There's more?
Yes, because this problem is not only about habits.
Oh?
It's also about how we think about change.
That sounds deeper than I expected.
It usually is.
Pause. All right, now I'm curious.
Good. Because once you understand this part, small changes will feel very different.
All right, I'm listening. What else is behind this?
Let me ask you something simple.
Okay.
When you think about improving your life, what kind of image comes to your mind?
Honestly,
Yeah, honestly.
a better version of me. More organized, more productive, more put together.
Put together is a nice way to say it.
Yeah, instead of saying less messy.
I like the honest version better.
Me too, unfortunately.
So, when you imagine that version of yourself, how do you feel?
At first, motivated. Like, yes, I can do this.
And then,
Then, a little tired.
tired?
Yeah, because that version of me seems very far away.
Ah, that's important.
Why?
Because you're not reacting to a small change anymore.
I'm reacting to the gap.
Exactly.
So even if the action is small, the feeling is big.
Yes, very big.
That explains why I feel overwhelmed, even with simple things.
That's right. Your mind connects the small action to a big identity change.
Identity change?
Yeah, you're not just thinking, I'll wake up earlier.
What am I thinking?
I need to become a different person.
Wow. No wonder I stay in bed.
Yes, staying in bed feels easier than becoming a new person.
That's painfully accurate. So how do we fix this?
We don't fix it by pushing harder.
Then how?
we change how we frame the action,
Frame?
how you describe it in your mind.
Okay. Give me an example.
Instead of saying, I need to wake up earlier every day, you say, I'll wake up earlier just once.
Just once?
Yes,
But that sounds too easy.
exactly.
That's the point?
That's the point.
Okay. So you're tricking your brain?
Not tricking, just making it less dramatic.
I like that.
Because your brain reacts to pressure.
And forever sounds like pressure.
Exactly.
So if I say, I'll drink more water today,
That feels manageable.
but if I say I must drink more water every day,
That feels heavy.
yeah, like a rule,
And people don't like rules, even from themselves.
especially from themselves.
There's one more thing.
There's always one more thing.
Yes, but this one is simple.
Okay, I'm ready.
You're trying to start from your best version.
Isn't that good?
It sounds good, but it's not realistic.
Why not?
Because your current version is not your best version yet.
That's true.
So when you aim too high, you create resistance.
So I should aim lower?
Not lower, just closer.
Closer.
Yeah, closer to who you are today.
That feels kinder.
It is kinder, and also more effective.
So instead of saying, I will exercise for 1 hour,
You say, I'll move for 5 minutes.
5 minutes sounds possible.
Exactly.
I think I see the pattern now.
What pattern?
The problem is not the action, it's the pressure around it.
That's it.
And if I remove the pressure,
The action becomes easier.
that's surprisingly simple.
Simple, but not always easy to remember.
That's also part of being human. So what should I do when I forget?
Good question.
I'm learning.
When you forget, don't restart your whole plan.
Then what?
Just restart the next moment.
That sounds less stressful.
Exactly.
You know, this is actually helpful.
I'm glad.
Because before, I thought I needed more motivation.
And now,
Now I think I needed less pressure.
that's a much better starting point.
Okay, I understand the idea, but in real life, it still feels difficult.
Of course it does. Ideas are easy. Real life is messy.
Exactly. Like yesterday, I told myself, I'll clean my room.
And?
I cleaned one corner.
Only one?
Yeah, and then I sat down and checked my phone.
That sounds very realistic.
It felt like I failed again.
Let's look at that carefully.
Okay.
Did you clean something?
Yes, one small part.
Before that, was it clean?
No.
So now, is it better than before?
Yes. Wait, are you saying that counts?
Yes, it counts more than you think.
But it's not finished.
That's true, but improvement doesn't need to be finished.
That's a strange idea.
It feels strange because we're used to all or nothing.
Yeah, either I do everything or I feel like I did nothing.
Exactly, but real progress usually looks like something.
Not everything.
Right. Okay, but what about something like exercise?
What about it?
If I only do 5 minutes, does that really matter?
Let me ask you something.
Here we go again.
Yes, just one question.
Okay.
What is easier to repeat tomorrow? 5 minutes or 1 hour?
5 minutes, obviously.
And what builds a habit? Something you repeat or something you avoid?
Something I repeat.
Exactly.
So the goal is not to do a lot,
The goal is to keep showing up,
even if it's small.
especially if it's small.
That's a little surprising.
Yeah, we often think bigger effort means better results.
But bigger effort can also mean no action.
Exactly.
I think I've done that many times.
Me too.
I plan something big, feel excited for a moment.
And then?
I don't start at all.
That's very common. So, small action is better than perfect plan.
Almost always.
Can we try another example?
Of course.
Learning English.
That's a good one.
Sometimes I say, I will study for 1 hour every day.
And what happens?
Day 1, maybe I do it. Day 2, I feel tired. Day 3, I stop.
That's very honest.
So, what should I do instead?
Try this. I will study for 5 minutes.
Again with 5 minutes.
Yes, 5 minutes is powerful.
But 5 minutes feels too small.
That's why it works. Because you don't resist it.
That's true. I wouldn't argue with 5 minutes.
Exactly. And once you start, something interesting happens.
What?
Sometimes you continue.
Oh, that's true.
And if you don't continue?
At least I did 5 minutes.
Exactly.
So either way, I win.
Yes.
That's a new feeling.
And a very useful one.
You know, I always thought improvement needed discipline.
It does, but not the way most people think.
What do you mean?
Discipline is not about forcing yourself.
Then what is it?
It's about making things easier to repeat.
Oh. So that changes everything.
It really does.
So small actions repeated often,
Become real change.
not fast, but steady.
Exactly.
I think I finally understand this, but I'm still not sure how to keep it going.
That's the next step.
Of course it is.
Yes, but don't worry, it's simpler than you think.
All right. I get the small steps, but here's my problem.
Go ahead.
I can start small for a few days, then suddenly I stop.
No clear reason?
Exactly. Nothing bad happens. I just don't do it.
That's very common.
It's frustrating because I feel like I'm doing well, and then I disappear.
Disappear is a good word.
Yeah, like I just vanish from my own plan.
I've done that too. Let me ask you something.
Okay.
When you stop, what do you say to yourself?
Something like, I broke the habit.
Ah, that sentence is important
Why?
because it sounds final.
Final?
Yeah, like something is finished or lost.
That's true.
And when something feels lost, we don't want to return to it.
So I'm making it bigger than it is.
Exactly.
Okay. So what should I say instead?
Something lighter.
Like what?
Like, I missed one day.
That feels less serious.
Because it is less serious.
But missing one day often becomes 2, then 3.
That can happen, but the real problem is not missing a day.
Then what is it?
It's how you react after missing it.
Oh, okay. So if I miss one day and think I failed,
You stop completely.
yes,
But if you think, okay, I'll continue today.
then I just keep going.
Exactly.
That sounds almost too simple.
Most useful things are.
I'm starting to notice that.
There's another small trick.
I like small tricks.
Good. Don't focus on daily.
But isn't consistency important?
Yes, but daily can feel strict.
That's true.
Instead, think, I do this often.
Often?
Yeah, not perfect, just often.
That feels more flexible.
And flexibility helps you continue.
Okay. So instead of saying, I must study every day,
You say, I study often.
that sounds more human.
Exactly.
Okay, I like this idea. But what about motivation?
What about it?
Sometimes I just don't feel like doing anything,
That's normal.
but then everything stops.
Only if you wait for motivation.
So I shouldn't wait?
No, motivation is unpredictable.
That's true.
Instead, rely on something smaller,
Like what?
a simple rule.
Oh, rules again.
A gentle rule.
Okay, I'll accept that.
The rule is just begin.
That's it?
That's it.
Even if I don't feel ready?
Especially then.
Okay. But what if I start and stop after 1 minute?
Then you still started.
That counts?
Yes, starting is the hardest part.
That's true. So the real skill is not finishing, it's returning.
Returning?
Yes, coming back again and again.
Even after stopping. Especially after stopping.
That feels more forgiving.
And more sustainable.
I like that word.
Me too.
So improving your life is not about big changes.
It's about small returns.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, because you don't need to be perfect.
You just need to come back.
Exactly.
All right. I think I can actually try this now.
Good.
But before I forget, what's the easiest way to begin?
That's what we'll explore next.
All right. Let's make this very real.
Good. Real is better than perfect.
So, tomorrow morning, what should I actually do?
Not everything.
Okay, fair.
Just one thing that is easy to begin.
Give me an example.
Let's say you want to improve your English.
Yes, that's me.
Instead of saying, I will study for 30 minutes, you say, I will open one lesson.
Just open it?
Yes,
That sounds almost too simple.
that's why it works.
So the goal is not to finish.
The goal is to start without resistance.
I like that. What about something like exercise?
Same idea,
So not, I will work out.
but I will put on my shoes.
That feels very easy.
Exactly. And once your shoes are on,
It feels strange not to move.
right.
So we're designing actions that are hard to avoid
That's a great way to say it.
instead of pushing ourselves.
We remove the friction.
Friction?
Anything that makes starting feel difficult.
Ah, like thinking too much.
Exactly.
Okay, I have another example.
Go ahead.
Sometimes I want to read more, but I never open the book.
Where is the book?
On my shelf.
There's the problem.
Really?
Yes, it's too far from your daily routine.
So what should I do?
Put it somewhere visible.
Like where?
On your bed or next to your phone?
Oh. So the environment matters too,
A lot.
not just motivation.
Exactly. Your environment can help you or stop you.
This is starting to feel practical.
Good. That's the goal.
Let me try to say it in my own words.
Go ahead.
Start small, make it easy, and make it visible.
That's excellent.
I'm learning.
You are.
But I still have one concern.
Of course you do.
What if I do all these small things, but nothing really changes?
That's a very honest fear.
Yeah, I don't want to stay in the same place.
Let me answer you with a question.
Again?
Just one.
All right.
If you improve by 1% every day, what happens after a month?
I guess it adds up.
Exactly.
But we don't notice 1%.
That's the problem.
We only notice big changes.
Yes, but big changes are built from small ones.
So I need to trust the process even when I don't see results yet.
That's right.
That's not easy.
No, but it becomes easier with time.
You know what's interesting?
What?
This feels less like changing my life and more like adjusting my day.
That's exactly the idea.
And adjusting a day feels possible.
Yes.
So instead of asking, how do I improve my life?
You ask, what is one small thing I can do today?
That feels much lighter.
And much more useful.
All right, I'm convinced.
That was fast.
Yeah, but now I need to actually do it.
That's the real part.
So, what should I remember tomorrow morning?
Just one sentence.
I'm ready.
Make it easy to begin.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Good.
You know, something feels different about this.
Different how?
Usually, when I think about improving my life, I feel pressure.
And now?
Now it feels quieter.
Quieter is good.
Yeah, not exciting, but also not stressful.
That's a better place to begin.
Pause. I think before, I was always waiting for a big moment.
Like a fresh start?
Exactly. Monday, next month, next year.
The perfect time.
Yes, but honestly, those moments don't change much.
Because the real change happens in small moments.
Like today.
Exactly.
Pause. Can I say something a bit strange?
Of course.
I think I made improving my life too serious.
That's not strange at all.
Really?
Yes.
Pause.
When something feels too serious, we become afraid to do it wrong.
That's true.
And when we're afraid, we don't start.
So maybe I should take it less seriously?
Not less important, just less heavy.
Less heavy. I like that. Pause. So instead of saying, I must improve my life,
You can say, I'll try something small today.
that sounds more human.
Exactly.
Pause. You know what I might do after this?
What?
I'll drink a glass of water.
That's a good start.
Not a full plan, just water.
That's enough.
Pause. And maybe later I'll open an English lesson.
Just open it.
Yeah, just open it. Pause. It feels almost funny how simple this is.
Simple things are often the ones we ignore
Yeah, we look for something bigger.
and miss what actually works.
Pause. So, improving your life is not one big decision,
It's many small choices.
made quietly.
Exactly.
Pause. I think I'll forget this at some point.
You probably will,
Thanks for being honest.
but that's okay.
There it is. You said it.
Yes, but I mean it in a real way.
Go on.
When you forget, you don't need to restart everything.
Just come back.
Exactly.
Pause. So the skill is not remembering forever.
It's returning again.
That feels more possible.
It is.
Pause. All right, before we finish, can I ask the listeners something?
Please do.
What is one small thing you can do after this?
Not later, not tomorrow.
Right after this. Pause.
It can be very small.
So small it almost feels silly.
That's a good sign.
Pause. And if you do it, that's already a change.
Yes.
Pause. No big plan, no pressure.
Just one small action.
Pause. I think that's enough for today.
I think so too.
Pause. All right, I'm going to get that glass of water now.
Good idea.
See you next time.
See ya.